Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in ordinary times when there is no emergency. Please repeat after me. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in the ordinary times when there is no emergency. Purport. In the scriptures, there is mention of apad dharma, or occupational duty, at times of extraordinary happenings. It is said that sometimes the great sage Vishwamitra had to live on the flesh of dogs in some extraordinary dangerous position. In the cases of emergency, one may be allowed to live on the flesh of animals of all description. But that does not mean that there should be regular slaughterhouses to feed the animal eaters, and that this system should be encouraged by the state. No one should try to live on flesh in ordinary times simply for the sake of the palate. If anyone does so, the king or the executive head should punish him for gross enjoyment. There are regular scriptural injunctions for different persons engaged in different occupational duties, and one who follows them is called swadharmastha, or faithful in one's prescribed duties. In Bhagavad Gita 18:48, it is advised that one should not give up his occupational prescribed duties, even if they are not always flawless. Such swadharma might be violated in cases of emergency, if one is forced by circumstances, but they cannot be violated in ordinary times. The state executive head is to see that such swadharma is not changed by the follower, whatever it may be, and he should give all protection to the follower of swadharma. The violator is subject to punishment in terms of the Shastra, and the duty of the king is to see that everyone strictly follows occupational duty as prescribed in the scripture. Read the translation again. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in ordinary times when there is no emergency. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjaya Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurue Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadaktikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pramami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashtya Deshatadine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki. So, thank you everyone for allowing me to sit on this exalted seat, Vyasa-san. I feel I haven't been here for a while, so a bit rusty. I seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas here, present, Prayajana Prabhu as well as everyone else, and everyone online, to give me strength and courage so that I can say a few words of relevance, and that I can actually hope to sort of impart this exalted personality that is the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna. Okay, so today is 24th of December 2020, and it is the season to be jolly, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. It's Happy Christmas Eve, dear devotees. And on this day, people all around the world will be coming together to celebrate peace and goodwill for one another. Friends, family, loved ones gather to enjoy exchanging of gifts, attending midnight mass at churches to pray for one another, then wait for Santa Claus, who arrives on his sleigh at midnight. But obviously he would have to wait until 8th of January this year, since he will have to endure 14 days of isolation. Well, we suppose he will have Rudolph and the reindeers to keep him company. Christmas Day arrives and all the children go downstairs or in by the Christmas tree, where many presents are laid for them by Santa Claus, and they are opening their presents, and the parents, they come down and they actually go to the larder. They pull out all sorts of delectables that they've been shopping for many weeks now. And then they start the cooking process. So, shopping for this particular event, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, Christmas Eve, would have begun many days ago. On this holy day, I would like to share perhaps some very distressing stories with you, and some facts and figures about how this jolly season it is for all living entities, supposed to be for all living entities. But before I do that, I'd like to share some so-called traditions that have appeared in our life and our lifestyle in this world today. In a recent class online on the Gita Life course at the School of Bhakti, Sutta Prabhu shared with 200 plus students online the fact that we live in a world that is full of lies. There are many lies being told by many people. The world is full of lies. People generally have become habituated in saying these lies, even little bits, some fibs, just to make their story better. But if many people say the same lie over and over again, and enough people say it for long enough, that lie becomes accepted as truth. And when this same truth, which is based originally on a lie, is said over and over again over a long period of time, it starts to become culture. And when that culture takes root and time passes, people become part of that culture, they start imbibing that culture. What happens? That culture becomes a tradition. And that is a very dangerous situation. When something happens, when a tradition takes root, over time, over generation, this tradition becomes foundation, and people grow to reinforce that tradition through many lies. That lie that was previously said become truth, culture, and a tradition. And this is reinforced by family and friends. It's reinforced by the media, reinforced by the education institutions, university, colleges, and schools. And then what happens? We begin to follow these things even without questioning it. So, dear friends, today, as I was saying, one of the typical and most common traditions some people believe. Actually, let me ask you, what are some of the common traditions that we think are based on a lie? Any ideas? Do we have a mic? Yeah, any ideas?
There'll be the notion that as you're driving your car, if you turn on the light at the front, then there's a likelihood of there being an accident. But that's not really true.
Okay.
And we're all raised with that from when we were kids, I think.
Sometimes there could be a reflection which could cause you for not seeing properly when you're driving, and that could cause an accident, potentially, yes. Yes, Mohan? Particularly based on this purport today. There are some lies that have been told, that we believe has been propagated. Yes, Michelle.
It's a common belief that you need meat. You need meat is the only source of protein, or etc.
Yes. Mohan Prabhu?
That actually animals don't have a feeling. They're for our pleasure and enjoyment.
Don't have feeling for our pleasure. Yes. David, please.
Druta Karma Prabhu speaks about the evolution of animals and Darwin's theory.
Yeah. So, Darwin theory says there is an evolution of animals. Yes, Mataji. Amrita Vilasi Mataji.
That we have to eat meat in order to survive. And if somebody becomes vegetarian, they become, you're going to get sick and this is not normal. So there is such a strong conviction that we have to do it.
Exactly. This is exactly. These are the type of things that traditions that have been established. A study from the University of Hawaii found that men routinely incorporate more red meat in their diet when they feel their masculinity is threatened. Funny that. They feel that they must, pump the protein in their muscles and pump the iron, and so then they can feel big and strong and so on. This habit based on untruth has now become so normal that people who eat meat look upon vegetarians and vegans as weird. I wanted to share some facts. Now, these aren't palatable. We're going to be reading some newspapers now on the Vyasa-san. The Independent says, now this is the first probably for the Vyasa-san, is reading newspapers. What next time? Britannica, Encyclopedia Britannica next. No, so bear with me. The Independent, that is a story that was dated on 22nd of December 2018. The editor, Chas Newkey Burton, he starts the story with a question. Can you remember what you were doing in the first week of September? Do we remember? Do we even remember yesterday what dresses the ladies had? That's by the by. September, first week of September. That's probably when the turkey they will eat on Christmas Day was born. As we prepare the season of peace and goodwill, turkey slaughter has gone into overdrive. Around 14 million turkeys are killed in the UK alone. 2 million in December alone. Most of them spend their lives in cramped industrial sheds. Up to 25,000 birds may be confined to just one unit. The average weight of a wild male turkey is around 7.5 kilograms, but farmers artificially breed them to reach 25 kilograms. The poor birds struggle to cope with this unnatural weight and their legs often break beneath them. Horrible abuses have been repeatedly exposed at various British turkey farms, including workers playing baseball with turkeys at Bernard Matthews Ranch. Turkey's day's execution comes round quickly. In the wild, they would have lived to 10 years age. But between the ages of just 8 weeks and 26 weeks, they're crammed into trucks and driven to the slaughterhouses. There they panic as they're hung upside down by their legs to have their throats slit. They are sometimes killed with gas or by strangulation. Weirdly, the supermarkets don't show that in their cozy festive ads. The lives and deaths of alternative Christmas poultry are no happier. Every day in the UK, 2.5 million chickens are slaughtered for meat. Most never saw the light of day until they were driven to the slaughterhouses at the age of 6 weeks. By that stage, many of them are crippled, their young bodies unable to support their distorted body weight. Geese have endured a similar hell. And how do pigs in blankets arrive on your Christmas table? These are all very popular dishes, by the way, on Christmas. I don't know if anybody celebrated Christmas in a meat eater's house. These are very popular dishes that are laid out for the humans to taste and enjoy. Approximately 10 million pigs are slaughtered in the UK each year, many of them as young as just 6 months. About 60% sows reared in the UK imprisoned in metal farrow crates, which are just a few centimeters bigger than them. Little piglets have their ears punctured, teeth clipped, tails cut without anesthetic before being grown to the required size. I won't carry on that thread. There is another website that I found whilst I was researching this topic. It's a very sensitive topic. And this website is an animal clock. It's an animal clock of death. It says that by passing of every second, how many animals around the world are killed. So in the UK, the number is very large. This is the number in the UK of animals killed every year. In Canada, this is the number. Animals killed in the UK. Can you count the number of digits there are? 5 billion. It gets better. Australia. It gets better. USA. That's just 4 countries. Just 4 countries. Apparently, anyway, before I get to that apparently, I'm going to break it down into the animal areas. So we're going to go with the US because that's the largest perpetrator here. Chickens, 7 billion. Turkeys, 226 million. Cattle, 36 million. Pigs, 123 million. Ducks, 28 million. Sheep, 7 million. Fish, 4 billion. Shellfish, 43 billion. Apparently, India is the largest exporter of leather, where the holy cow has been born. The holy cow, which should be protected, has been born. Scriptures say we must protect the holy cow. Well, what's happened to that scripture? Is that tradition, again, I go back to the tradition. On this website as well, the animal website, there's also 4 other links. One is an organization called Surge, which they're actually actively fighting towards animal cruelty. There's a vegan organization, there's a vegetarian society, there's about 4. Currently only 4 is mentioned, I'm sure there are more. But they're all actively trying to fight and stop this cruelty to this other living entities. Humans are actually a plague on this planet. Unfortunately, they are actually the pandemic for this planet. If we think coronavirus, COVID is the pandemic, no. Coronavirus and COVID is actually trying to fight back from a nature's point of view. Coronavirus and COVID is actually doing the nature's work to ensure humans don't carry on this path. It's teaching us a lesson. It's teaching us a lesson that if we carry on in this way, you will find your fate in the way that you treat your animals and other living entities. They are far more superior. How many? 8 million of them versus only 400,000 of us. So how can the 400,000 demolish the 8 million? Just because we have more intelligence? Do we actually have more intelligence? No. We just have some piety, little bit of piety that has taken us at the top of the food chain. That's all it is. People think, oh, look, now I'm the boss, so I must control everybody below me. Another tradition that has been built up on lies. You must be the boss, you must treat how the previous boss has treated everybody. So I'm going to stop with this doom and gloom story. It is too distressing to even think about. So let's see, what do we have? What can we do? What can we as devotees of Krishna, followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, followers of the army of Srila Prabhupada, what can we do? Well, it says here on Prabhupada's Vyasasan, Prabhupada Marathon 2020, live to give. So this solution to curb the misery suffered by the poor animals and nature, make everyone Krishna conscious. Prabhupada says many, many times, make everyone Krishna conscious. By educating the masses through the books and chanting of the holy names as prescribed by Srila Prabhupada, make them all realize that Dehinosmin yatha dehe komaram yuvanam jara tatha dehantara prapte dhiras tatra namuyati. Translation, anyone? As the embodied soul continuously passes into this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So, every living entity is an individual soul. It's changing its body at every moment. It's a simple education treatment, right? At the end of the day, we must pass this message on to everyone, that they are going through the journey on this planet, same as the animals are. The animals, in fact, are souls in just different coverings, different bodies. They are actually our cousins. They are actually our relatives. How can we stomach our relatives on Christmas Day, on a Christmas table, on a platter. That's the education that we have to give them. And through the propagation of these books, through the Sankirtan movement, apparently today is the last day of the Sankirtan movement. Go out there, distribute the books. As much as you can, give this knowledge to every corner of the world and change that original lie that has been brought into a tradition. And tell them, show them, just hand the book in their hand. When they hold the book in one hand with a bag of turkey and Christmas shopping in the other hand, maybe, just maybe, when they go home, they will have a change of heart and leave all the meats in the bag and only cook the parsnips and the carrots and the roast vegetables and the roast potatoes and the other things that are so delectable that we have in a vegetarian diet. Every day here is a feast, no? There is rabri, there is paneer, there is rasagullas, there is extra vegetables, sauté, different styles. There is different types of paneer. There is Manohar Gopika Mataji brings amazing prasadam for us. Why do we need these other things that are not even meant for us? Are we growing weak? Are we feeble? Don't we get enough protein? Look at all of us. They're so different bodied individuals here. Strong muscled, rather than weaklings. No. So the fact that humans need more protein from animals is completely rubbish. I want to say a stronger word there, but I'll refrain myself. Completely rubbish. So, Mayavadi theory, in this purport of this verse that we just read, 213, Mayavadi theory of oneness of the spirit soul cannot be entertained on the ground that the spirit soul cannot be cut into pieces into fragmental portions. Again, the body is just the body. And all those perpetrators through this entire life, Prabhupada once said, Prabhupada was asked, why do humans suffer? Why do the young men have to go to war? Prabhupada answered that by saying, why do you kill cattle in slaughterhouses? Your men are also going to slaughter. The direct connection between animal killing and wars. Right now, in this moment, there are actually wars happening. It may not be with soldiers. It may not be with guns. It may not even be with missiles. But it is with viruses. Shishi Radha Gopranand Bhagwan ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Gaurnitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. It is with viruses. Now, here's another fact. During this study, also came across that as you consume animals, you're also consuming all the pesticides, all the drugs, all the insemination that has been happening in their bodies. And what happens in the body? The body is made up of matter and chemicals. When chemicals interact with chemicals in a chemistry lab, what happens? Boom. Explosion happens. Exactly. So what happens in our body? Boom. Explosion. Viruses mutate. And viruses take forward and they actually kill the demons who are eating these things. Therefore, it's just common sense to actually turn to a vegetarian diet. Stop also pesticiding all of our vegetables, pumping vegetables with genetically modified injections to make them all plump and nice. We don't care about that. The land is fertile enough to give us enough produce to to sustain ourselves. One cow is all it takes to sustain the entire village. In reality, small village can be sustained by one cow from prosperity, blessings, everything that a cow can give you. Give us. So, this is the situation of this world. Unfortunately, it's going to take a huge effort. Prabhupada said, it's a battle against humanity, it's a battle against the scientists, it's a battle against Maya and Kali Yuga. Let's fight this battle with the education that they need to be given. And therefore, change the mind of the scientists. Go in there as scientists and actually give them the study that is accurate, negating all those untruths that have been told for decades and millennia. And hopefully with that, at least in this 10,000 golden years, we can make a change for the better. So in summary, we spoke about truths and lies and how traditions are brought about. We talked about Christmas Eve and the festive season of jolly for all. It has to be for all, not just for humans. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending, that's it. It's just a, comfortable animal in a comfortable home, yet the animals have to suffer for that benefit. In fact, 1800s, the poor people were actually suffering, and the Romans and the royalty were enjoying and being over gluttonous. In fact, in Roman empires, they used to eat, and when they were full, there used to be something called throw up or puking troughs. They'll go and puke out to empty their stomach so that they can enjoy more sense gratification. That's what they used to do. That was considered normal until the revolution happened, civilization happened, so-called civilization. Now, not just the poor are doing that, but the rich and the poor are all doing that. So how lies told long enough becomes tradition. World's dire condition of the flesh-eating industry and where it's headed. Unfortunately, I will share one more fact with you that I found. First meat, the headline says, first meat grown in space lab, 248 miles from Earth. 248 miles from the Earth lies International Space Station. All the world organizations, including China and Russia, have got stations there. And they do research there. They do different research into bovine cells. Israeli company successfully cultures bovine cells on International Space Station. That's the headline. Lab-grown meat has been successfully cultured in space for the first time. The Israeli food technology startup Aleph Farms grew the meat on the International Space Station 248 kilometers away from the natural resources. So you see, the scientists what are they doing? Just for their sense gratification, they'll spend billions to go onto space to do these kind of things. It's just completely waste of time. Firstly, they can't travel to space. They think that's so-called space. They don't even know where the moon is. There's some planet, material planet they think is the moon. It's not the moon. Prabhupada said this many times. Sorry, I digress. I was getting a little bit passionate when I was going through this. It's a bit of a nightmare situation for me. Srila Prabhupada says, solution is Sri Chaitanya's Mahaprabhu's mission. All of us are not this body, but souls that are actually connected to one another. And so therefore, we must try harder to ensure that these books, this message is gone out to every town, every village, and every soul is protected. Prabhupada ki. I'd like to end the class there and take some chastisements, corrections for putting you through this trauma. I really sincerely apologize for that. But if we don't sometimes agitate our consciousness, then we become complacent. And so during this book distribution at this marathon period, should go out there and give this knowledge, and this is why Prabhupada time and time again said that this knowledge is what gives us the ammunition to fight against this culture of abuse. Hare Krishna. So, any question? Yes, Sam.
Thank you for the hard-hitting class. But I think it's good actually to hear, like a lot of devotees, Sankirtan devotees say that it's good for me to be out on the streets because I actually see the people suffering. And so I was just thinking, maybe it's like you said, sometimes it's a shock, but it's a bit of a refreshing shock to hear the suffering of the world and see actually the level of degraded kind of mentality of the people in Kali Yuga, that we actually gain some urgency in our spiritual life, some urgency to go deeper in our own sadhana and trying to spread this message to others. So thank you for that. I think it's really helped me to rebuild some urgency again.
Yes, Srinivas.
Prabhupada was asked a question that Prabhupada explained his point in his letter. He said, he's a Namo Brahmanai Go Brahmana Hitai Cha. He's the protector of cows and brahmanas. So how is it that many cows are being killed? And Prabhupada said, those who kill the cows, those cows who are killed, they take birth as humans and they kill those people who had killed them. There's a karmic reaction goes on like that. So the only way you can stop that is education. So through spiritual education, in time these things will stop. And Prabhupada also said, Dai Bala was saying how in 1976, Prabhupada said these scientists, their cheating will stop within 50 years. That's 76. No, Krishna consciousness is being spread. Many books are going out. It's becoming well known throughout. I think even in Guinness Book of Records they say there's not been anyone who has written so many books in a short time as Srila Prabhupada. So you can say it's becoming well known to everyone. So it's just a matter of time before people accept Krishna consciousness more.
Thank you for that comment and reinforcement that this is the process for educating the masses in order to curb this tendency of sense gratification, because it is just a palate that they are enjoying. In fact, at the end of Christmas Day, those who've been on a Christmas Day in a household, at the end of the day, you're so full, start to bicker with each other, the anger sort of builds up within, all these things happen. Families come together. Now, most likely, Boris Johnson, His Grace Boris Johnson, has done a favor to the world, or at least to the UK, by cancelling Christmas, because the stress levels will be low in families. Sometimes, yes, they get together, relationships get together, and then what happens after a while? Oh, this happened, you did this, you did that, and then the bickering happens. But actually, sometimes it's good to reflect, and this time to pause will give us that reflection propensity in order to ensure that we are more mindful of what we are doing, what we are eating. Thank you, Srinath. Anyone else? Comments? Concerns? Quite thin on the ground today. There's a few devotees here, but at least we still have devotees. At least in this lockdown period, I felt that it was good for us to, as Sam Prabhu said, good for us to know what is the plight of the people out there. Not just during this pandemic period, that's just added to the issues. But luckily, as a result of that pandemic, more and more people are turning to this lifestyle of vegetarian, healthy eating. They're understanding actually through this animal cruelty, there is a connection. And soon enough, they will establish that connection. At least those who are fighting for the rights of the animals will establish that connection, because scientists are also involved in that. But unfortunately, there are stronger scientists who want to have a dominating effect on the planet, and therefore they suppress these cells that bubble up because it impacts the monetary systems. The whole thing is intertwined because of greed for Lakshmi, greed for money. Yes, David Prue?
I just wanted to make a comment, as you said, that like a culture shift. That I heard, like in Australia, like 50 years ago or so, there was no vegetarian restaurants, and Govinda's was like the first vegetarian restaurant in Australia. But nowadays we can see things have changed so much that it's becoming more common. You know, vegetarian restaurants are everywhere. It's more acceptable now as well. So there is a culture shift as well.
Very, very good point. Had it not been for Srila Prabhupada and his vision and this mission, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, we wouldn't have so many vegetarian restaurants. That's a testament to itself. By education, by actually educating people that if you want to taste that meat aspect, then you can do that by simply just changing slightly of what a vegetable can do for you. You can have the same taste. In reality, that multitude of substitutes for meat these days, which are far better than actually killing. I mean, we haven't even touched on the topic of environmental effect for the meat industry. We won't even go that that's going to be yet another class, but you get the point. Thank you for raising that. I'll take Mataji and then we shall go.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the class. And I have a question. Like David Prabhu was saying that there's more and more vegetarian restaurants, and it seems like more and more people become vegetarian. So some people say that yes, it's getting better, but we know that Kali Yuga progresses. So actually, how is that? That on one hand, yes, more people become vegetarian, but at the same time, Kali Yuga progresses. So
yes, Kali Yuga has to progress. That is the benediction and this reward that we will hear that Maharaj Parikshit benedicts Kali. Kali Yuga has to progress for another at least 427,000 years. We've only had just over 5,000 of that. And so, on this path, at least for the 10,000 years, things will get better. There will be more vegetarian restaurants, there will be more vegan restaurants, there will be more signs, at least shoots of betterness because of this movement, because of all the things that we are doing through the chanting, through the Harinam Sankirtan, through the books, through everything. Yes, it will be like that. But after the 10,000 years that have passed, the golden years, it is said, Prabhupada said many times also, that it is only because of this movement, Kali's effects have not been felt so strongly on this planet. When these 10,000 years are gone, I don't want to be here. I may come back next life, but I just pray that I come back in this shelter of Krishna consciousness and Prabhupada, so that we can take as many souls back as possible. And to your point about, or to Srinivas Prabhu's point about this karmic cycle as well, yes, it is a karmic cycle. And all those people who are in the entire chain, from the meat producers to the rearers, to the people who sell the meat, to the people who pack the meat, to The entire production line to those who buy the meat in the supermarket, to those who sell in the supermarket, to cook it in the home, to feed it to their children who are young, they don't even know that this is bad for them. They will all suffer. That's why there's going to be billions of cows more that are going to get slaughtered. We break the cycle by taking the milk from those poor cows, those cows, and offering it to Krishna. That also breaks the cycle. And then
Krishna Prabhu, thank you. Any advice for devotees or devotees who are working in such industries or in universities? For example, I had to do an experiment where lots of animal products were used. And yes, how can we deal with this to not incur any sin?
Okay, very good question. The advice to those who are forced or those who are working in this industry. I think Prabhupada was asked a similar question in a lecture once. I forget the reference. And Prabhupada said, if you're in those 4 regulatory principles, if you're going to break the 4 regulatory principles by your work, change. There are things that you can do through the Varnashram system, through your doing your duty. Find the nature. Find what is the constitutional position of your character, of your nature, and do work in that. You will get far more satisfaction. And not only that, the divine personalities, the demigods, and ultimately Krishna will be happy. Whenever Krishna is happy, Lakshmi Devi is happy. And whenever Lakshmi Devi is happy, you'll get the Lakshmi for your sustenance. Change. Don't work in a butcher's shop. Don't work in a tobacco or alcoholic place, intoxication. Sure, studies, unfortunately, we have to be part of the system because that is the system. The university, as we say, we have to get to the certificates that we need. But if it is against your beliefs in order to kill an animal due to experimentation, if you strongly believe that, don't do it. If your degree relies on it, if you're a doctor and you have to, then insist that you do it on a naturally dead animal. This example. That's just something that comes to mind. I'm sure other people will have, the devotees will have other suggestions. That's something that comes to mind. Okay, I think we'll end there. I think everybody's left now. Just everybody's hungry. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.